here's Brody Brazil.
So have you seen the brand new rule changes for Major League Baseball starting next year in the 2023 season? There's three main ones to discuss: a pitch timer, bigger bases, still trying to figure out the absolute benefit of that one, and then the elimination of the defensive shift. You will no longer see a shortstop on the right side of second base anymore. We'll discuss that one at the very end, but let's begin with the pitch timer. 15 seconds when the bases are empty, or 20 seconds between pitches by a pitcher if there's at least one runner on base. As for the batter, they'll only get one timeout per plate appearance, and they've been testing this in minor league baseball. Among a bunch of other different things they've been experimenting with down there, one of them is this, the pitch timer, which they say across the last two seasons has reduced the average game time in the minor leagues by 26 minutes per contest. Now, if you're telling me that that's a possibility for the big leagues, 26 minutes is a big deal. From 3 hours, 15 minutes to 2:45, yeah, that makes, for me, baseball a little bit more digestible, picks up the pace, doesn't require the same time commitment day after day after day. And some of you may be taking offense to my opinion on that, but as a person who consumes a lot of baseball, I'm just saying I think it would benefit the fan, and I think the players would get used to what honestly is kind of an old school pace. I know these are new rules, and there's some technology involved here. The first time we'll really have a clock for the game itself. Right now there's a between inning clock, but there's not a pitch timer like we're about to see. Yeah, there's technology. There's pitch comm between the dugout, the catcher, and the pitcher and the infielders now. And now we're bringing in a clock to actually monitor the pace of baseball games. But going back to what I said, baseball used to be played at a pace that would have no problem of a 15-second pitch timer. That would have been fine in the 70s and 80s and 90s. Pitchers got the ball back, stood back on the rubber, figured out what they were going to do, and usually a second or two, I mean, not in total, but they didn't waste much time. That's kind of the point here. Nowadays, baseball a little bit more cerebral. We're overthinking things, and that's kind of the issue that's going to be forced a little bit. I guarantee you're going to find a lot of people who object to all of this, but it's been tested for years, and now this is what's happening at the major league level. So you could argue that the pitch timer is bringing baseball back to an old school pace. Games didn't used to go 3.5 hours on average every single time out, but that's what they're trying to speed up the process here and maybe get away from that a little bit. Okay, bigger bases at number 2, from 15-inch squares to 18-inch squares. Is this about making it easier to steal a bag? Like the 2 inches on each side, hypothetically 4 inches total. You're making the 90 feet, that much shorter. No, it's not about that. They say bigger bases are expected to have a positive impact on player safety. Now, the one place I can see it, actually the two places I can see it, are at first base, where the first baseman's back leg, their hind leg, is stuck on the bag while they're out trying to extend and make a catch from an infielder. And then you've got a runner running past. It creates a little bit more buffer so that those 2 feet don't collide at first base. So I get that. Is the 3 inches in total going to make a difference sizably? I mean, measurably, I don't know. The other place I can see it is tag play at second or third, or even a pickoff play back to first. There's just more room for players' feet and more places to get a hand in if there's more surface area of a base on the ground. But again, I've talked to some people in baseball in the last couple years as this has been discussed and brought up and now for real, and they don't really understand the entire benefit of it either. So I'm passing that one along without a lot of opinion because I don't think it's going to have the desired impact. We'll see. Maybe it's a big deal. And then the last thing here is the defensive shift and the restriction of that. How will they do this? Well, it's simple. Only 2 infielders can be on either side of the infield when a pitch is released. Now, I suppose that after the pitch is out of the pitcher's hand, that shortstop could be on the sprint back behind second base, I guess. And the third baseman, why would you want to do all that? But when the pitch is released, 2 infielders must be positioned on either side of second base. So that's kind of a real dividing line. There's the left side of the infield and there's the right side of the infield, and you're staying on one or the other. It's also easy to understand here, the dirt and the grass. You need to have all four infielders with both feet basically on the infield dirt when the pitcher is on the rubber. So you can't have your second baseman out there in short right field. But again, this is a new thought. It's a new idea. It's a new rule. But it takes baseball back to an old school place. How many shifts did you see defensively in the 70s or 80s or 90s? Not a lot. Not even early into the 2000s. The 2010s, yeah, a ton. And then, people tried to counter and say, well, hitters can't hit. They can't go opposite field, or they're too scared, or they don't know how to lay down a bunt. But these two rules, the pitch timer and the elimination of the shift, they're going to be criticized heavily as being too new, too much catering to a younger audience and a younger demographic. But in reality, it's taking baseball back to an era where pitchers worked quickly and fielders didn't cheat on the other side of the field. So my whole point in this video is that, I'm probably for all these things. I was okay with the cat and mouse game of the shift, but if you're saying you don't want to see it anymore, I'm tired of seeing somebody getting robbed because they hit one right back up the middle, and there was the shortstop standing right behind second base. That should be a hit. That's a spot where hits are supposed to happen in baseball. And there's so much scouting and there's so much knowledge, and now maybe some of that work kind of goes for nothing if you can't actually execute on a shift. So, the main point here, new rules for baseball, but they are very much old school in what they're trying to get out of them. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments section below.